Keep breathing life into it and good things will happen.
Wellory. Welcome back to the Wild Business Growth Podcast, presented by Hippo Direct. This is your place to hear from a new entrepreneur or innovator every single Wednesday morning who's unleashing creativity to grow their business. I'm your host, Max Brandstetter, digital marketing due to Hippo Direct, and you can reach me at max@hippodirect.com for any help with podcasting or digital marketing. This is episode number 54, and today's guest is Emily Hochman. She's a founder and CEO of Wellory, a crazy cool new company that's totally reinventing the health and wellness industry. They set you up with certified health coaches and put together a personalized nutrition plan just for you. You'll hear all about the ups and downs of her journey and even how her art history major plays into things. Get ready for the Hawk. Enjoy the show. Alrighty, we are here right off Broadway at this amazing WeWork with Emily Hochman, the amazing founder of Wellory. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Well, thank you so much for setting this up and hosting. And you are doing amazing things, setting up people with health coaches and making wellness and health coaching easier than ever before. So we're going to dive into a lot of really cool stuff. But before we get to Wellory, you mind starting with a little bit of your background and kind of take us back to college and what were you doing? What do you think you'd be doing?
Sure. So I'll take it all the way back because I think it's relevant to my story. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. I grew up in Brooklyn. And actually both my parents are entrepreneurs, one in the for-profit space, one in the not-for-profit space. And I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew I wanted to start my own company. It was just a matter of who, what, when, where, why, and how effectively.
All good questions.
Yeah. Yeah, very important to answer. So when I was growing up, I was a four-sport varsity athlete, went to college and ended up having a series of changes because I was no longer playing as many sports as I was growing up. And as a lot of 18 to 22-year-old women, my body started to change, had a series of health complications, and then at the end of college went to the doctors who told me you have everything potentially from hypothyroidism to polycystic ovarian syndrome to pre-diabetic to potentially infertile, may never have children one day, at which point I said, this is crazy. I'm only 22. This can't be.
Wow. And then you got that news all roughly at the same time?
Yes.
Oh my God.
In short.
And you're playing four sports and you're...
Yeah. Well, I was playing four sports in high school, and then when I got to college, I wasn't as active as I was. I went to a D1 school and wasn't good enough, quite honestly, to play Division I sports.
Hey, same here.
Yeah, it's okay. I was in a sorority instead, so I found drinking instead.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we did fine. After school, I had these doctors telling me what to do, and I totally believe in doctors' recommendations, but what they were recommending for me didn't seem right because I wasn't a sick person when I was growing up. And so all of a sudden I had eating changes, and honestly, I didn't weigh a lot at the time. And so what I really needed to do was someone to just tell me, Emily, eat a burger or eat 3 burgers every day. And I didn't want to go on medication for that. I really wanted to find a way to cure myself through understanding intuitive eating, through understanding the right diet for me. So I ended up going on a 5-year, what I call my 5-year self-healing journey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of time. I know, who has time for that? And culminated with going to a school called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, where I learned over 100 different dietary theories. I learned the practice and belief of what's called bio-individuality, which means one person's food is another person's poison, and really actually learned how to cure myself of every symptom that I had once had through the right diet and lifestyle for me. At this time, I was working at a tech startup here in New York. Before that, I was working in the sports and entertainment industry. And through both of those experiences and through my experience having gone through IIN, again, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, was really the culmination of coming up with the idea for Wellory and gave me a launch pad to say, this is the business I want to start. And this is what I'm going to do.
Bam. There you go. Okay, so you've done pretty much every different subject area and different thing on the planet in a bunch of different industries. Something you didn't mention, but I saw about your background that I've been dying to ask you about is you majored in art history
I majored in art history and double minored in Italian and dance, which has absolutely nothing to do with what I do today.
Wow. Exactly. So somebody might think you're like a dancer who paints pictures
Yes.
while eating pasta.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
But how did you... obviously, you have a background in being creative and an interest in art, and I'm sure that helped lead to studying that. But what was it about art history that you liked so much? And then part two of that, really, throwing you through the gauntlet here. Part two of that would be, why did you switch away from art to more of the business world?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Both
welcome.
of them or just one of them?
No, they're both great questions.
Wow, this is a wild business.
Yeah, we're off to a great start.
On fire.
So I went to school for art history because I loved the subject matter. I loved learning about culture worldwide. I loved, quite honestly, the liberal arts education. And when I went to college, for me, it was just a matter of trying a bunch of different things while I was at college. And I actually think that's what inspired a lot of entrepreneurship, because I was in 101 different clubs and I was always trying different jobs, and worked, in the career development center, worked in the administration's office, was always trying to figure out what I like to do. I'm a workhorse. And so for me, it was just a matter of finding as many experiences, I think, as possible, as opposed to maybe studying.
Well, I think you've certainly done that. You did every club. You probably invented clubs at school there. But it's really cool because you hear that advice from people as well as, I think more and more people are saying, like, it doesn't matter as much what you do in your early 20s or in college. Like, try a bunch of different things and find out what you like. And you are like living and breathing proof of that. And for you, it has resulted thus far in an amazing business. So it's really cool that you've taken things from so many different areas there.
Thank you. So, actually, one thing that I do tell a lot of friends who are perhaps younger sisters, younger brothers, my cousins, anyone who's going through the college process or the job search process, I think it's really important to know the best thing to learn coming out of college is how to be a well-rounded human who can speak and communicate clearly. And I think that for me as an art history major, that was actually the most valuable thing, was learning how to distill information and being able to synthesize and analyze it in a way that then could produce written or spoken content. So for me, when I look at bringing people onto my team, I'm less concerned about what your GPA was, or I'm less concerned about what your major is. I'm more looking for, can you communicate clearly? Can you read signals in the right way? Can you be a part of a team? That's more important. And I think that by learning those experiences in college or in different work settings, that's what's most important, in addition to networking and having the ability to network is super important as well.
Yeah, the soft skills are incredibly important. The soft skills go hard, I might say. But
I like that.
Thank you. It's a new tattoo. Let's get to Wellory. You are an absolute innovator in the health and wellness space here.
Thank you.
And it's really, really cool. You've taken really a 21st century and beyond approach. I just brought you to the 22nd century.
Thank you. We're in the future here.
Exactly. This is recorded in the future. No, but connecting people with health coaches, and people, I think, would be interested in your business from a variety of ways. One is using your programs, your services from a wellness and nutrition standpoint. And from another standpoint is somebody who is a health coach or is interested in being a health coach and wants to help out other people and coach other people. There's a huge opportunity. You're looking for that as well. So it's really cool, very cool to talk to you this early in your journey. I mean, at the time of this recording, Wellory, you started 6-7 months ago. So it's really, really neat to see like how fast you're growing and all that stuff. Before, I know that was like 17,000 sentences. Where did your idea for Wellory, when did it truly crystallize and you said, okay, here's something that I'm truly passionate about and want to start a business around?
Yeah. So when I went to IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, I graduated with a certification as a health coach. And I really identified there were two major problems in the market. The first being I graduated with a ton of peers who are all wonderful, and we all shared in the same challenge, which is building a company is really fucking hard. And being a solopreneur is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And just because you're a good health coach doesn't mean that you're good at sales, technology, business operations, marketing, customer acquisition, you name it, and everything that goes into building a business.
That's quite the realization.
Yeah. The other thing is, this is similar when you go to college, having gone through a program, it's scary to then all of a sudden launch a business. You still have so many questions in terms of how do you navigate actually being a health coach and what does that mean? And so when I really started to think about what I wanted to do or the resources out there, I had conversations like, what was the company that I could go work for as a health coach? Mm-hmm. And I tried to find a company that resonated with who I was and the brands that appealed to me. And there wasn't a company out there at all. There were a couple companies that were focused very much on weight loss, but I don't believe necessarily in just a tool for weight loss sake. I was very much looking for a company that believed in wellness and in holistic health. And how could we think about specifically everything from the wellness trends from celery juice to going to yoga and not just one diet fits all, because what we learned and what I believe very much in is that there's no one diet fits all. And I didn't want to talk about calorie counting, and I didn't want, just any other weight loss or fitness app. I really wanted to breathe and work around holistic health. And so when I looked at the market, there was no company that offered that. And then B, trying to be a health coach to do that was very hard. And quite honestly, I was also working a full-time job. Yeah. And I actually loved my job very much. But when I looked at the space, I said, you know what, I'm going to create that company. And so I came up with the idea in June of 2017. I sat on it. I said to myself, I'm going to sit on this idea for a year, and if I'm still inspired by it or still excited, I'll quit my job and do it. And not only was I excited by it, but the idea just grew and grew and grew. And about 6 months later, I told my boss, who I love very much, that there was an itch I had to scratch, and I had the entrepreneur bug, and there was this company I had to build, and went through about a 6-month transition with my company to make sure they were set up for success, and then started Wellory.
All that in a nutshell. Oh my God. So
that's my quick story.
Yeah. The thing that stuck out to me there, we've so many entrepreneurs on this show, and so often you hear people who are working another full-time job when they start the business or when they have the idea for the business, but vast majority of the people aren't really too happy with their full-time job. Whereas you enjoyed your job, you love your boss. It's on the record now. No.
I do love it. I love the whole team.
Yes, absolutely. So you must have been extra passionate about this, to leave something you love to do something that, you also love, obviously, but is more personalized to you, and you saw this need for in the place. So that's pretty crazy, and it's very, very unique to your story, which I love.
Thank you. It wasn't easy.
Yes.
Hard decision to make.
I'm sure. Just to give everybody a little background, like, in its most simplest terms, how would you describe how Wellory works?
Yeah, great question. Very simply, Wellory is a wellness technology company that offers top quality, easily accessible health coaching at market's most affordable rate. What does that mean is that we make a very curated connection or a personalized match between our clients. So any of you who are signing up right as you're hearing this, and
everyone, right?
Everyone. Obviously,
yeah,
we'll give you all a discount.
Now, you know how hard it is to record a podcast while signing up. No, it's actually, you made it very easy.
Yeah, we make it very simple. That's how we're all enabled and leveraged by technology. So we connect you with a health coach who will work with you to create a very personalized plan to help you lose weight, to help you learn how to eat better. We focus predominantly on nutrition, intuitive eating, and then at its core, accountability. And we are expert accountability buddies is a term we like to use often.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Teletubbies in a weird way. So
we are so far from Teletubbies, but that's okay.
It just sounded like it, yeah.
We have bright colors too, so we can go with that.
I love your branding. It's very
Thank
cool.
you so much.
Yeah.
It's all homegrown. We very much make a personalized match between our clients and our health coaches, because what we focus on very significantly is the strength of the human connection and a powerful connection. We find most people know what they need to do. Most people know they shouldn't be eating pizza at 2:00 in the morning every weekend, or could reduce the amount of alcohol they're drinking.
You're describing my weekend.
Yep. I was throwing that out there for you.
Thank you.
But at its core, just as human beings, in terms of behavior and how do we make behavior changes, the strongest way to do that is to have another human being who's holding you accountable. Really, one of the main reasons, in thinking about Wellory is we're not just any other tech or app that you can ignore the notifications on. We're actual human beings who get to know you, who are creating very personalized plans to help you keep you actually accountable to your health goals. And by the way, by doing that, you're going to see tremendous results. We've had people lose 10, 12, 15 pounds. We've had some people go from being at risk of diabetes to no longer at risk of diabetes.
No way.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So it's amazing changes that we're making. And it's really the power of, a strong human connection and working with an expert who's going to help you get there.
Yeah, those accountability buddies.
Exactly.
Right? Did I say it right?
Accountability buddies. You nailed it.
So accountability buddies, it's true. I never really thought about that, but it's very true that when somebody is holding you accountable, it makes it. And you hear stories all the time of like when people are working out with a coach or with a spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, anybody. Most of the time, it's way easier to go all in on something when you're doing it together, whether that be working out, but also more like the food plans and wellness plans and all that.
You're exactly correct.
So,
the power of a community.
Yes, absolutely. So how do you mentioned that personalization and this human element, human connection is super important. How do you go about that? How do you guys decide, this person would be super fit with this coach. We need them to meet, they need to be BFF, accountability buddies. Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
So because you're doing it right now, when you signed up for Wellory, you answer a series of questions. We call it your Wellory profile. Mm-hmm. And we ask you everything from your health challenges to your personality type. So are you eating 3 meals a day? What is your family history, health history like? What is your exercise routine? How much alcohol do you drink? Do you have any cravings, whether that's caffeine or sugar, you name it? And then we ask you a series of behavior questions. So when you are working with your Wellory health coach, do you want that to be someone who's fast tempo, or do you want that to be someone who's collaborative? Do you want to be told exactly what to do, or do you want to have more of a, let's get to know each other lenient approach? And so we are reviewing every single profile and matching you with one of our health coaches who very much fits your persona. So all of our health coaches specialize or are phenomenal in very different ways. And so we make a very smart connection between who you are, what you're looking for, and the types of health coaches we have on our team.
Okay. So there's obviously a lot of variety with your background. You clearly seek out some variety as well in terms of the interest and skill areas of your health coaches. What do you look for in somebody that is a health coach that wants to be on your team? What are the biggest areas that are like, you guys are going to be awesome for our users and you're going to be awesome for our company?
Yeah. So any of you health coaches who are listening, listen up.
That's actually the entire audience.
Yeah. This is, wow, very health and wellness inspired.
I should have
love
mentioned
it.
that.
Yeah. So we look for a variety of different things because we hire for a variety of different positions, meaning specifically we have a few health coaches on the team who are a bit more specialized, whether we're talking about focused on pre or postpartum, or we're talking about women's health, men's health. And then we do look at some other health coaches who are more generalists, who can talk through nutrition, making very smart recommendations to changing meal plans and things like that. What I will share with you, one of the most important things when we actually are hiring our team is looking, actually I'll tie it back to what I spoke about in going to a liberal arts education, is for good communicators and people who are personable and can really relate to our clients. So we look at people who both have the experience, have gone through health coaching before, but also are people that we believe are very much going to represent our brand well. Are you someone who is likable, can be compassionate, someone who clients will enjoy speaking with because you're speaking to them on a weekly basis? So we look both at skill set, but very strongly at who you are as a health coach and how we think you'll help represent our brand well.
And that's super key. I mean, I can imagine it'd be pretty tough to get more people to use your programs and expand your base if your health coaches weren't likable. Then you'd run into some big problems there.
Exactly. At the end of the day, the client experience is the number one most important thing. And so we look for health coaches who believe in that, are going to put our clients first, and can communicate that as well.
Absolutely. I'm still blown away by the fact that really at the time of this recording, you started the company really so recently. It wasn't too long ago. And you've already you've been off to an incredible start. Your team is expanding, your branding, when we first chatted, I made a remark of how your branding looks like it's years beyond. I'm just blown away. Your social presence, website, everything, even works on mobile. Anyway.
Yes, we're always mobile optimized.
Not to get nerdy, but so much has happened. You've gotten some amazing press, including Pure Wow and a lot of other top publishers out there. So that's all positive, but of course there's real struggles. There's stuff every day today, that you are pain points you struggle with. What has been the most challenging part or thing that you've had to deal with and fight to the death over the past 6-7 months?
There's a lot. Quite a lot. I think the biggest challenge I've had thus far has been the unexpected loneliness that comes with entrepreneurship. And I have a phenomenal team who I love so much. So any of you who are listening, I love you. That's against HR policy, but I'm going to say it anyways.
HR, stop listening.
Yeah. Not that we have an HR team. I am the HR team. But,
noted.
Yeah. Actually, my best friend is the head of our HR, but she does it part-time.
Okay.
Quite honestly, the loneliness, I've worked at 2 really amazing companies who I have made some amazing friends with. Some of my best friends have come from the companies I've worked with. And so you just jump into this founder entrepreneurship world, and it's unlike anything else. And you're dealing with problems that you've never dealt with before. Right. Not a lot of people get it. And I've heard a lot of friends who started companies say that and never fully understood it. And all of a sudden I understand it. The loneliness and challenge of making a lot of big decisions and having to make them on your own and not having as many people to really talk through the ups and the downs. And, you're making 1,001 different decisions every day. And it's hard to do alone. It is. Yeah. And sometimes you do 1,002 too. That's true. Yeah. But you are alone. There's just a different feeling that comes with it when you go out and you're doing something on your own that way. How have you fought against that and made yourself more comfortable? Well, part of it's more comfortable being, alone from a business standpoint. And then the other part is, how do you inspire your team and not kind of bring everybody down with, those low moments? Yeah. So first, I probably don't talk about it enough as I should. So, cat's out of the bag. Yeah, cat's out of the bag. I don't really tell that many people. It's an important point. Very important. Yeah, it's very hard. So that would answer your last question, which is I probably don't talk to my team nearly as much about it. And because a lot of my team are also health coaches, I'm sure that we could all relate to each other from the loneliness at some point. But the real way that I've started to deal with it, I'll say, is one, it just took some time to get used to. Starting a company puts yourself out of your comfort zone. And so you're dealing with everything and anything that you've never really dealt with before. And so that took just some time to get used to, quite honestly. And then the second thing is I've developed some friendships with other founders and found a founder community, specifically here in New York, that is unbelievable and incredible, and have met some fast friends who just get it. And I feel like I can call and they've either been through it or they're going through it and have met, a lot of new friends, quite honestly, but we just get each other very quickly. And that's been an incredible blessing. That's amazing. You hear about outsider advantage. Like there's so many things that you can learn from, those relationships and connections as well. So that's great to hear that you found that group as well. We can also share resources. So that helps. Yes. Best practices, tips and tricks. Yeah. So kind of on the flip side of things, the other side of things, what has been the most rewarding for you personally on this entrepreneurial journey so far? To bring something from nothing to life. Sometimes I look at, like you were mentioning our website, like, holy shit. Well, you paid me to say that. Yeah, I did. That's part of the ad sponsorship. Yeah. We'll talk about it later. But holy shit. Yeah, holy shit. So, like period end, holy shit. Yeah. I'm not in a place in my life yet where I have children, but I could imagine my parents look at me sometimes and think the same thing, like, holy shit, we created that. Or my brothers. But I feel that way, like, to take nothing and then have, even though we're not, because we are a digital platform, it's not a tangible thing that you're holding, but to be able to see it and to be able to be making money and to be able to building a community and give people a job, and that all came from nothing. Like sometimes it's just like, holy shit. Yeah, you said it. I could not have said it any better. Yeah, so the synthesis is... That's the second tattoo there. Yeah, holy shit. So to take something from nothing and to turn it into something is just incredible. I would say that's the most profound experience. And then I would say the other thing that's amazing is just to keep growing. You know, the best part about, I think, being a founder and entrepreneur is the sky's the limit. So, you know, my mom always says this, but she always says, just keep breathing life into it and it will come. And that. So, yeah, shout out to my mother. She's a total millennial entrepreneur as well. And so I just follow her lead and keep breathing life. And I think, you know, one of the most exciting things is, do I have my 5-year roadmap? Yes, absolutely. But you know, where this business ends up in, you know, year 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, there's so much potential and so much opportunity in that. That's big picture vision and potential really excites me.
It's very exciting. So yeah, it's amazing. And your parents have created the baby of you. And
my
you've
brothers.
created, and your brothers, yeah, don't want to throw them under the bus.
Yeah,
and I mean, very entrepreneurial family. And you're now creating this business baby, which people, you know, you hear that. Like people, the brand, the business is your baby. And it's more similar to a human, obviously not physically, but than you'd think. So I love that. I have one more question on Wellory before we move on to something else. It's very, very difficult. If you need like 10 minutes to prepare it, let me know. But
I'm bracing myself here.
Where'd you get the name for Wellory?
Okay, this is a great story.
Sweet. Go on. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the story. I had an idea for a business, and all I wanted to do was come up with a name. And I had come up with a few ideas. I had started a few Instagram handles on them. Didn't obviously launch or tell anyone about it. I just played around with the name. And then one night, it was a Saturday night that I had decided to not go out or do anything. And I was literally sitting at home drinking wine saying, I'm going to go through a naming exercise. And so I took a few words that I liked because I was building in the wellness space or in the health and wellness space. You know, the word well definitely stood out to me. I wanted our company to be something that people could resonate with and, you know, wasn't surprised at what it was. And then honestly, I just started putting well with different suffixes and prefixes and tried to find something that worked. And a couple of glasses of wine in, ended up at Wellory, and ORY actually means at the place of. So like an armory, for example.
Like factory.
Exactly.
Which would be at the place of fact, I guess.
Yeah. So if we think about it as ORY at the place of wellness or at the place of well.
That's amazing. Oh, that was a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah, you delivered.
So thank you to the wine.
So yeah, Chad, there's nothing like a good wine brainstorming session or naming session.
Exactly.
And it's just like some feedback from the other end of it. Like when I first heard about your company, when you see well as the first syllable as a prefix, is that right?
Yeah.
My girlfriend's gonna kill me because she does stuff with language.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, I instantly knew that it was about wellness. It's a really fitting name for what you're doing. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, Wild listeners. Have you been wanting to start a podcast for yourself or your business, but didn't know where to start? Or do you have a podcast of your own, but you're struggling with the time commitment? I'd love to help. Shoot me an email at max@hippodirect.com with any podcasting questions you have. I'm also happy to jump on a 30-minute call where we can discuss your idea, planning, production, promotion, and other elements of the podcasting world. Let your podcast run wild.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about more about you personally, inspiration, creativity, how you stay inspired, how you stay creative. What do you do to stay creative? Besides drinking wine when you're thinking of names for your business.
Life is all about balance. I'm pro a good glass of wine.
Same.
I go to a lot of events. So I go to about 2 events a week if I can, if schedule allows, because I believe that there's so much to learn from what other people are doing in the space, to hear from entrepreneurs, founders, panelists who are years ahead of where I am. So I go to a lot of talks, a lot of events, a lot of salon series to really learn and get inspired and be creative. I would say that's probably the predominant way I stay inspired and find creativity from what else is out there and what I can learn from. Yeah.
And that's even an example you talked about earlier about like the entrepreneurship groups and the different networking events there. When you think of other things you like to do in your free time as far as hobbies, what comes to mind? What are your favorites?
Quite honestly, I could work on that. Right now I'm working.
Right now it's a business.
Right now most people would tell you, Emily, take a breather, because all I'm doing is working all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Emily, take a breather.
Okay, I'll work on it. It's not my strong suit.
You walked
vacation. Yeah, vacation is not easy for me. But
it is. Well, it's so hard to totally unplug now. And now since I've joined this family business and smaller company as opposed to the corporate world, like my visits to back home to visit my parents are completely different now.
Yeah.
Like I was home earlier this summer and I did 2 interviews when I was home. I was driving back and forth across Cleveland. Like we had to find time for us to talk things about the business because like we're running around so much. So it's hard to unplug and get your mind off there.
It's hard to unplug. And then because we live in the tech world, everyone is just a text, phone, email away, and you're never really off because we all know we live on our phone.
Right.
And so
including your health coaches.
Yes, this is true. My phone is currently not out and in my bag right now. I'm fully focused.
That's true.
I mean, I do, in that vein, this is a little off your question, but I do make a very, very, very conscious effort to be present, specifically in meetings, whether it's a team meeting with an investor, having a dinner party, whatever it is. I am very intentional about not even having my phone on the table. I'll put my phone in my bag. And it's actually one of the things that most inspires me and excites me about Wellory is that we are also human first, technology second. Yeah. And so, in a world that has tech for everything, are we technology enabled? Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, are you actually speaking to someone? Yes, absolutely as well. And so we're intentional about that as well.
Yeah. And then just a tech question about it. Do you have a specific app or is everything through your website?
Everything right now is through our website, but check back in a few months.
Uh-oh. A little behind the scenes there. Okay. I like it. And then from the resources standpoint, I label this as resources, but really I mean in the sliver of free time that you have or when you're going to the office and back or going around to meetings, what are you listening to or after hour, like what are you watching? What do you like? What sort of information and entertainment do you like to consume?
I've listened to every single episode of Sophia Amoruso's Girl Boss podcast. I love that. I love being inspired by other female founders. That really excites me and also helps me put together my target list of women I want to talk to.
That's funny because it literally, like on Apple Podcasts, you could see other podcasts that people listen to. And that one is the first one that comes up, at least at the time of this recording. It's the first one that comes up for us. And so it's probably
we're making our way closer.
But yeah, exactly. No, but it's there's clearly some similar interest there. So
I love that.
That's really cool. You shouted that one out.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan and supporter of all things female founder community. Mm-hmm. So that's
why is that? I'm just kidding.
Really?
You walked into that.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. Yeah. And isn't your workspace your typical workspace? It's
a female co-working space.
Yeah, that's amazing. So. Yeah. Guessing that was important for you when you were seeking out places for the office.
Yeah, what's interesting, we are not a female-only team. That was actually also very important to the business. I believe in, diversity, both diversity of thought and diversity of people. But where I am at this stage of the business, being around other female founders has been extraordinarily helpful in sharing war stories, celebrating big wins, talking personal and professional. Yeah. Supporting other women-led businesses means a lot to me.
Yeah, and with good reason. You're doing well for the world as well.
Thank you. Trying.
We only got a little bit of time left. We're going to wrap up with a couple quicker segments, kind of more all over the place. But the first one is a fan favorite segment called the Wild Business Shout Out of the Week.
The Wild Business Shout Out of the Week!
So, I used to be on Broadway with that. But Wild Business Shout of the Week, this is where we talk about a recent campaign or ad that caught our attention. And earlier, you were mentioning something that another podcast that you haven't mentioned yet was doing to market, which obviously I know firsthand how hard it is to market things as a podcaster. But, whether it's a podcast or whatever you're doing, how hard it is to break through the clutter and get yourself out there. Can you walk us through what you saw and how it impacted what you started doing?
Yeah, of course. So We Met at Acme on Instagram, and most of their Instagram stories are all polls where they're asking a series of questions. And the podcast is all about millennial dating. And they ask, so for any single people out there, you should listen.
There you go. That's a hell of a plug.
And so what they do is in their Instagram stories, they just poll their followers and they ask about how to deal with relationships and different scenarios that you may or may not have been in, and how do you think about dating and all of these questions. And it's so simple, and Instagram stories are such a wide used tool that I actually was inspired and have started to put a lot more polls in both personal and professional. So both my own personal Instagram as well as Wellory Instagram account. And I have been wildly impressed with the amount of data we're able to collect, and just quite honestly learnings from our community, because everything we do is driven by customer testimonials or potential client testimonials. So we've really been able to learn a lot, which has been awesome.
It is awesome. And today, the day that we're recording, you did polls in your story as well.
Yep.
Saw that earlier, so you put your money where your mouth is. So you now have to do that every single day. So whenever anybody's listening to this, they know that you're true to your word. So no pressure.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
That's going to go in our content calendar.
Exactly. So you don't have to do it every day. But I've started toying around with that as well. And I do on Fridays. I do a poll every Friday,
Smart.
And it's about all sorts of random stuff. It's not really tied to the business, but actually, it's not tied to the business. But it is so interesting. Just have people choosing between two options. How much insight you can get from that, and how powerful of a market research tool can be. And you learn a lot of stuff. Like you'd be surprised by certain things, like what kind of cheese people like more, like Absolutely. Red wine, white wine. It's like that sort of stuff is fascinating. So I'm glad that's a popular tool that Instagram has there. So. Only a little bit of time left. Would love to wrap up with some rapid fire Q&A. You ready for it?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
All right, born ready. All right, cue the music. No, let's get wild.
I'm nervous.
What is your... It's very nerve-wracking. What's your favorite restaurant in New York? Number one.
Minetta Tavern.
How do you say it?
Minetta Tavern.
Minetta Tavern. And what do you like to get there?
The bone marrow. So good.
Ooh, that's good. You studied art history. Who's your favorite artist of all time, other than yourself?
I'm not really an artist.
So,
I would actually
definitely not yourself.
Yeah, actually anything from the Italian Renaissance. That was my focus.
Okay, yeah, great Renaissance.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Renaissances. How about, do you have a favorite painting or a favorite sculpture? Like anything that you can think of? See, you signed up for this when you took art history classes. Right?
I haven't gone to a museum in a very long time yet.
All right, Mona Lisa, check. All right. If you had to hear one song on repeat, and you couldn't listen to any songs for the rest of your life, it had to be that same song every time you listen to music, what song would it be? Waking Up Alive by Charming Horses, because I do listen to it on repeat every single day. So this is real. So
that's real life.
This is easy for you. I can't believe you were nervous. Okay, and if you had... What would you say is a weird talent? So like something that you're oddly good at, but doesn't necessarily impact your business. It's just kind of like something about your personality that you're really good.
I can do a headstand.
Yeah? All right, you're going to do it. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my God. That's impressive. Can you do a head spin too? Or you keep it a headstand? I keep it at a headstand. That's good. Yeah. We don't want anybody dizzy here. Not mobile. And then last one. If there was a Netflix documentary about your life, what would it be called? From Woo-mates to Roommates. Oh my God. And what does that mean? Is it what I mean when I have a twin brother, and so we were in the womb together, and then we've lived together. And so I think that would make for a very enjoyable Netflix series. Wow. You guys have really changed where you're living. I'll say that much, but that's amazing. Well, I know we got to sign off. Thank you so much, Emily, for coming on the podcast and hosting on Broadway, literally, at this amazing WeWork here, shared workspace. But thanks again for sharing your story. Thank you so much for having me. I'm humbled that you even wanted to hear it. Of course. Yes. This has been amazing. And where's the best place for people to connect with you and also to connect and learn more about Wellory? www.wellory.com. or hello@wellory.com or emily@wellory.com. Bam, you got it. All right, and last thing here, final thoughts, stage is yours. It could be a quote, it could be a line, it could be like a random catchphrase, something you want, anything you want to end with, stage is yours. Keep breathing life into it and good things will happen.
And may the good things continue to happen. Thank you so much, Emily, for coming on the podcast and hosting. And thank you, Wild listeners, for tuning into another episode. To make the most out of your experience, make sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite app and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can also explore the marketing and business growth resources we have for you at hippodirect.com/blog and hippodirect.com/newsletter. That newsletter is the Hippo Digest, and it's your weekly recap of creative marketing from all around the web. And as a grand finale, come say hey, what's up, or whatever your phrase of choice on your favorite social media platform at the handles Hippo Direct and Max Brandstetter. Until next time, let your business run wild.
Bring on the bongos!